Let us pray. We will conquer this wilderness. It will not consume us.
Boo! Boo! It's not safe! Ba.
You've cursed this family.
Ba.
There's the evil in the wood.
Does thou wish to live deliciously? Yeah. Alright guys, it's Steve, The Noise. I'm back after about a week off with a new horror review. This is Horror Noise, and today we are doing The Witch. Love this one. Another A24. Sorry, you've probably gathered over the past sort of month or so, I'm a bit of an A24 fanboy. And am I sorry? Am I fuck? So, The Witch, A24, 2016 horror film, directed by Robert Eggers, who later went on to do The Lighthouse, which I'm sure I'll do a review of at some point because it's absolutely fucking spectacular, just like this film. It's such a nuance, that the way that film, that recording, that film style, similar to this film, black and white, really edgy, just so obscure, using a lot of sort of, you know, obscure ideology. You're not quite sure what you're seeing on the camera. Is it real? Is it all in the character's head? Is it paranoia? And this director, Robert Eggers, oh my god, he has got such an unbelievable, you know, such a career ahead of him. It's just, yeah, this film is just, it's polarizing again. I know I use this term quite a bit. And I was even polarized myself when I first watched this. I think I mentioned it in a previous review. I don't think I was ready for A24 Star back in 2016. I think I saw it about 6 months after it came out. And I was just confused. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? I had a big problem with the language barrier in this film, because it's set in New England in the 17th century. And they use a lot of the old English, so ye thy hither, thy over yonder. And I remember I watched it first without subtitles, and I couldn't get into it. You know, the filmmaking and the symbolism was breathtaking. It was fantastic, but I couldn't get into the dialogue because I just couldn't keep up with it. You know, I'm English. But it's really hard to take on board the communication levels between the characters, because it's, like I said, it's all in hither die over die yonder. It's really it's quite grueling to keep up with it. And then I give it another go, because after I got into Hereditary and Killing of a Sacred Deer, I thought, let me give this another go, and this time I put the subtitles on. Now, this is a habit that I've started to put into a lot of my English American films after watching a lot of foreign horrors, so the South Korean stuff, the French stuff, and it completely changed the film for me. Suddenly I was invested. Suddenly I could see what was going on between the characters, the paranoia and the dread that was going on within this family. And it's now, yeah, I'd say it's in my top 10, The Witch. Absolutely amazing, breathtaking, and just so different to anything that's on the market, especially from Hollywood. But anyway, let's go into it. So again, as you've probably seen with my films now, film reviews going forward, I am doing a non-spoiler review, then I'm going to give you a warning, and we'll get into some spoilers. So here we go. So non-spoiler review. We have a character called William. He's the father of the family. He's played by Ralph Ineson. He's an English actor. I've seen him in some comedies. I've seen him in The Office. He does a lot of sort of voiceover work. I hear him in adverts all the time. He was out of this world in this film. This is easily by far the best thing I've ever seen him in. His acting, his portrayal of this character William was just breathtaking. Not once did it feel forced or rushed or investing too much into the character. He was fucking fantastic. So we've got William's the father. Catherine is the mother, played by a Kate Dickie. Sorry. Thomason, the daughter, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. Now I've seen her, she's now going places in Hollywood. She's been in a good few other horrors as well. And just like Ralph Ineson in this, she was breathtaking. She was, again, up until this point, I know she's in a lot of films up and coming now, but this was the best work I've ever seen her in. Her performance was terrifying and traumatic, and your heart just had to go out to this character, because she went through some unbelievable torture and manipulation and sort of emotional abuse. It wasn't really physical. She was just battered down into submission, being spoken to and treated like absolute shit by this family, especially the mother, Catherine, in it. And a special shout has to go out to the character Caleb. That's the young sort of son. I think he's about 12, 13 in this, played by Harvey Scrimshaw. Haven't seen him in anything else, but his performance in this was just amazing as well. So a special shout has to go to him. So the film is black and white, just like The Lighthouse. And I don't know what it is. It just creates this tone. It creates a level of, even though it's a Hollywood film and it came out in 2016, it has this epic way of just putting you, rolling back the years and trying to put you in this situation. Filming it entirely in black and white, I don't know what it is. It just set the tone so amazingly, and it just put you in this scenario with these characters. So like I said, I touched on it, it's in ye old English speak, so I highly recommend you putting on the subtitles for this one. Like I said, it completely changed this film for me. So it's set in, obviously, New England in the 17th century, after the settlers leave England and go to America. And it's the entire film is obviously dominated by religion and sort of the sort of the shame and the stubbornness and the control that goes with religion, especially back in them days. I mean, obviously the New Testament has been rewritten now to these days, and the rise of atheism. But back in those days, religion was all these people had. And this family, especially William, because the mother in it, Catherine, she's struggling at times with her faith. But William's obviously the father of the family, and he's, back in the day, he's the man, and he dominates and he tells the family what to do, and he's devout. He's almost like an extremist. He will stand up in front of the little settlement that they have and claim that they are not all of true faith. And he basically tries to lambast them all and said that they're almost heretics because they maybe have a slightly liberal sense of the religious aspects that he has. So he ends up getting the family absolutely ostracized from this group of settlers. And rather than just biting the bullet and doing what's right for his family, they end up getting shunned and exiled and told to basically leave the settlement. So they have to go out into the wilderness, this family, on their own and fend for themselves. All thanks to the father, William. Thanks to him. This film, again, it's A24. It's just beautiful. Again, it's bleak, it's dark, but just the cinematography is just second to none. You can tell that this is all just set on site. There's no green screens. There's no sort of frills to it. It's just bleak, dark, in the middle of the wilderness, and these people just have to fend for themselves and fight for their lives in order to survive. And again, like I touched on, they've done it in black and white, but just the shots and the wide angles, and just the sort of, they zoom in to this ominous looking forest where this supposed witch is, and it's just fucking intimidating, and it grips you from the beginning. We've seen some horror films back in the day where they tried to depict maybe, you know, like The Village, you know, the ominous looking forest, or Blair Witch, but I think this film nails it when it comes to the intimidation factor of their surroundings. And a shout has to go out to the score on this as well, the musical tones. They don't use the music to do jump scares, they just have this eerie sort of tone with these scenes. It's just beautiful, absolutely stunning, beautiful filmmaking. So after, obviously, William, he ends up ostracizing the family and getting them outcast from this group of settlers. They're struggling because they're trying to plant crops, and they're trying to keep the family alive. Just, you know, they're fighting every single day. Seems to be just a battle, just to stay alive, just to have enough food to eat. And William's stubbornness just installs this edge of resentment within the family. They all secretly hate and blame the father, William, but of course it's, you know, set back in the day, so the father, or the man of the family, he has the final say. No one's allowed to step up to him, and it's his ignorance and his stubbornness which leads to their downfall. Quite similar to Killing of a Sacred Deer, the character in that, the father, that Stephen. You know, his stubbornness just breeds this horrible experiences that this family has to endure, all because he won't admit that he was wrong or hold his hands up and say, I'm sorry. Yeah, piece of shit. So I'm going to not delve too much into spoilers, but I think you could see it in the trailer, which I put at the beginning. They lose a child in this. So they have a family. So you've got, obviously, William, Catherine, you've got Thomas and the daughter, Caleb the son, and these two twins. But they just have a brand new baby, a little baby girl, I believe. And yeah, let's just say that something happens to the baby. This is in the synopsis. So this is where, obviously, the seed is planted. What is it that took the baby? How did the baby die? This is the paranoia. This is when it all starts to set in with the family, and it all just falls apart. And it's just, oh god, it's brilliant. It's beautiful. The dynamic. It almost turns into like a who did it, like a sort of murder mystery. And there's lots of finger pointing. There's lots of blame, and it just adds to this beautiful family dynamic. A little bit like Hereditary. A little bit like with Killing of a Sacred Deer. A24 seem to have this unbelievable way of just taking a family dynamic and showing the real strains and struggles and paranoia of a family group, and how people would turn on each other. And this is very prevalent in this film as well. Fantastic. Now, A24, they don't mind breaking down taboos, and there's quite a weird sexual tone within this film, which can make a lot of people uncomfortable, and I know I did after watching it. It's a taboo that a lot of families, I mean, I'm Irish, I was born in Dublin, I think I told you guys before, and being Catholic, there is a lot of unwanted sort of sexual tones that goes on within the Catholic sort of religion. You know, normal, everyday adolescent sexual curiosity is shunned, and almost there's shame involved in it. You're disgusting. How could you do that? And there's some tones in this film, especially with Caleb. He's a teenager now, and he's growing into a man, and he has these urges. And rather than him, you know, the mother and the father sit down and speak to him and explain and just say, you know, these are normal everyday things, he's told that it's disgusting, and it's somehow blamed on someone else in the family. And it's just, it makes you fucking infuriated, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and that's part of human nature. There's nothing wrong with it. But just the way that the family, you know, especially the mother, deals with it, makes them feel like absolute pieces of shit. And it comes back full circle on them, the way that they treat Caleb and his desires as a teenage boy, which deep down there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, you know. I've touched on this before as well. With horror films, less is more. You know, think back to the fantastic, the amazing Ridley Scott Alien. How often was the alien actually in the film? How many times did you see it? You know, plain sight, right in the middle of the shot. Very rarely. I think it was something like about 7 minutes in that entire film, and that's over 2 hours long. They nail this in this film. Again, less is more. Don't show us what this creature is. Don't show us the witch. Leave it to our imagination. And that's exactly what they do. And that's why it ends up breeding this anxiety, and it's almost like, again, the who did it? Who was it? Was it you? Was it you? Was it you? Yeah, they just nailed it. Absolutely fantastic. I love it when they don't ruin it and they don't give it all away in the trailers. And even the sort of first hour and a half, you have no fucking clue what's going on with his family. You have no idea what's stalking them or what's taking out the family members, you know. So I think I've got as far as I can now with non-spoilers. So let's get to my rating. So I'm going to budge to this side, and I'm going to have the little score coming up here. So Noise gives it of course, A24, 9 out of 10. Absolutely amazing film. So bleak, so atmospheric. Just beautiful though. It's so good. It's just, oh god. Like I said, I struggled with it on first viewing, and second viewing it was in my top 10. And that's what I started doing now. After The Witch, it led the way for me to realise, don't judge a book by its cover, or even after first viewing. Because Hereditary I've enjoyed so much more after, even up to about the 6th, 7th viewing. I was still spotting stuff I didn't see before. Killing of a Sacred Deer, I went and saw the ending explained, and a lot of the sort of behind the scenes video and what it all meant. These kind of films, these deep kind of films, you have to give more than one view, because sometimes on first viewing it's too much and you can't take it all in. It's only when you see it on second, third, fourth viewing you see it in all its splendour and all its glory. So yeah, that was non-spoiler review, 9 out of 10, The Witch. Now I'm getting into spoilers. You have 5 seconds. If you haven't seen this film, turn off now. Okay, spoilers. Let's go. So, the daughter in it, Thomason. Oh, God, her suffering. Fucking hell. It's really uncomfortable to watch a young female, obviously a character in this, being treated the way that she is. She's done nothing throughout this entire film to raise suspicions, and yet just because she's, I think what, at this point she's 16, 17, and because she's blossoming into a woman, she's hitting puberty, she's, you know, growing breasts, it's almost like the mother, Catherine, is jealous of her. And you have Caleb, okay, that's his sister, but he's still a teenage boy and he still has these sort of urges and desires. And the little sexual tones, you know, he's catching a glance at her breasts or something. All of those situations can be dealt with in such a mature and adult way. But again, obviously this is set in 1700 New England. Of course, you know, our liberal or understanding of sexual behaviour with children or teenagers is, you know, it's not going to be known then. But they just absolutely pin everything on this Thomason's character. And in doing so, they led her down the path to the ending, the horrific and almost glorious ending. If they'd have sided with their daughter and understood and believed her and everything she was saying, none of this would have happened. But instead, you know, like I said, touched on before, William being the father, you know, what the man says goes. But Catherine's, the mother, performance in this, you know, the way that she absolutely pinned everything on this Thomason was one of the most uncomfortable parts of this film. Forget the witch, forget whatever entity this was. I thought that was pretty fucking horrific, watching this mother basically jealous of this young teenage girl and pinning everything on her and then trying to sell her off to market. You know, it was really, really uncomfortable. And then we had obviously Caleb. I touched on it obviously in the non-spoilers. His sexual desire and his curiosity is what led to his downfall as well. Again, it just comes back full circle on William and his stubbornness, and the mother and her just, I don't know, just the disgusting views on these children having these urges. You know, he ends up drifting off into the forest and getting seduced by the witch, which she portrays whatever desire these characters want. And of course Caleb sees, you know, a voluptuous woman with curves and breasts and sticking a leg out and reaching in for a kiss, and it was again really uncomfortable. It's a taboo, you know, going into horror films and talking about sexual urges with kids. It's something that's not really touched on, and it did make you feel really like, fucking hell. And then you had Caleb's sort of ritual at the end when they find him. They think he's fine, and then he has this unbelievable sort of rant about his faith and about how much he loves God, and, you know, repenting, and then ends up, you know, churning up an apple from his throat. And again, that's a sort of touch back to, you know, Adam and Eve, the story, you know, don't go for the forbidden fruit. And again, it's the shame and the way that they just, you know, make these kids feel like shit for just normal basic urges. And it comes back full circle. And that actor, Harvey Scrimshaw, that scene when he's up in the loft, I think he is, and they're trying to cut his mouth to clear an airway, and then he just spews up the apple. Fucking hell. The acting was just on point. His performance was, in that scene, as you know, alone, was just breathtaking. Absolutely amazing. So with everything that's happening, obviously he's already lost baby daughter. Now his son, Caleb, is dead. William's final breaking point. He's losing complete control of the family. I remember at one point the mother is even having sort of envisages of giving birth to their baby again. Breastfeeding the baby again, and then the camera pans back and it's actually a crow pecking away at her, you know, her nipples, and it's just, he's losing more and more control of the family, and he you know, he decides to lock them up outside with, you know, Thomason's character screaming and saying that this witch is going to come for them, it's going to come for them. And she's pinning all the blame on the twins, the twins are pinning the blame on her, and he's just lost all control. And then he wakes up in the morning and the witch has basically been and killed the twins, and all you got left now is the mother and Thomason and the GOAT, Black Phillip. Oh my God. Dost thou wish to live deliciously? Fuck. And then Black Phillip's majestic appearance. Oh man, I remember watching that scene for the first time. Just goosebumps. It was just so well filmed. It was just so intimidating. It made you feel so small and insignificant. All this time, all of this blame was pinned on the twins, Thomason, the mother, father, the witch, and it ended up being Black Phillip, the GOAT. Black Phillip, ba ba ba. And then you don't really see it on camera. You just see like almost like these cowboy boots. And of course, Thomason, by this point, she's sees her father obviously die at the hands of Black Phillip, and then has to kill her own mother. And at this point, she's got nothing, absolutely nothing left. She was blamed for everything. She's now lost all of her family. And of course, Black Phillip. What is he the embodiment of? Satan? I don't know. It doesn't. Again, A24 in their films, very ambiguous. They don't really explain anything. But he picked his perfect time. It's almost like, again, like Hereditary, this was all pre-planned. Every single thing that happened was to basically beat down Thomason and to have her submit to him and the witch, what were they called? The craft of witches. Ah, sir, again, that epic line. Wouldst thou wish to live deliciously? And of course she says yes and submits her soul, signs her soul with signs her soul over to the devil, walks off into the forest, sees the covenant of witches all around the bonfire, and they're all levitating, slowly levitating into the air. She joins them, drops her robe so she's completely naked, covered in blood, and you see her start to levitate into the trees as looks like she's slowly descending into madness. The end. Oh my God, what an unbelievable final scene. It just, I touched on it a couple of times already. William and the mother's, Catherine's actions led to all of this. And poor Thomason, she had nothing left. She had nothing left, and she signed her soul over to the devil. And now she's living deliciously, clearly. So yeah, again, 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic, spellbinding, grim, nasty, horrible film. It's slow burning, character building, which is, like I said, A24. I think they're the only studio left in Hollywood that's actually building stories properly, and they do it again to an absolute T, and this is borderline masterpiece as well. So yeah, that was me, Steve, Noise, Horror Noise. That was my review of The Witch. I highly recommend it, must see, in my top 10. Nice one. Alright folks, thank you very much for tuning in again. If you can like, subscribe, and please share this if you can. I'm toning down some of my content now because I realised I went a bit crazy and done, you know, like about eight videos in about 2 weeks. I'm just going to try and calm it down a little bit and just maybe produce one a week. But yeah, let me know what you think of this one, and like I said, please share, leave me a comment, any suggestions, and yeah, take care, much love, sweet as. Take care folks, nice one.